Oh, thank God. Who must I get on my knees and suck their glorious clit or cock just to get this? Oh my God, they've finally gone and done with the first volume of Clover. And it only took 10 episodes. Oh, thank you. Oh, come here, volume 2. Let me feel just the, 2 chapters like an episode. Oh, it feels to have an actual anime. Oh, thank God. Mwah. And I just like to thank someone who just decided to go, yes, let's fucking get the pacing just sorted now, because it is so much ridiculous. Like, it is so much better to see when I saw that piece of shit Heath get hit by the sword. It was just like, it was not only just being like, okay, this fucking villain is done with now, but more the fact, like, the second I could see, like, that sword, like, hit him, it's like, I think I hear pages turning. I think I'm hearing volume 2 on sale now. Like, I feel like that was the entirety of like what was going in my head from there. But with some pretty goddamn solid animations to like end off this episode, I think definitely there was some pretty winner parts from this, and as well some interesting stuff to talk about, like especially with like this episode as well, finally wrapping up the Mist Village arc, and for the most part a lot of big changes I feel like what's going to be happening with the future now for the series. First things first, I think obviously one of the bigger things that people are, yes, they are going to be talking about is that, yeah, the PS4 game is coming out sometime, hopefully next year, that we're hoping, and it's probably going to be covering some of this material, and I think it's going to be weird that not only are we going to have to wait like probably like 10 episodes to get through a first arc, but it'll probably be like the first couple of minutes of the series. Like, even still, like, we're gonna have this very weird thing where we're gonna have which is the better version of it, where it's like, is it the manga's version of like an interpretation of it, is it the anime, or is it like the video games? And I gotta say, there are parts in this episode which I think actually did better than the manga. They changed a few things around, like from the chapter where it's like, oh, there's an actual proper stinger at the end of this episode, or like there was some actual additional things to there, or it's like it made sense that this character did this instead of that. Like, don't get me wrong, there's stuff, and I gotta say, for like this episode, like it immediately went into like Asta charging against like Heath, and he's like, you know what, not giving up on my magic, I'm gonna charge straight in there, go at him. Magna coming up with the fastball special, like I'm gonna use the last bit of my magic against this piece of shit and his goons. I'm gonna trick these guys, and I'm gonna do the fastball special with Asta. He's gonna throw them, use them as a decoy, it goes all entirely around him and just goes right to Asta's blade. He fires him. It's like, that was pretty kind of cool. Like, he kind of like did the little nod and all that, and he did the little like kind of like keyword is like, hey, look, let's just time for your inauguration, let's go and give this shit a try. And he actually managed to pull it off, and even a little bit more clarification from what we get to see with Noelle's spell as well, being the Sea Dragon's Lair, which is the first real kind of magic she's been able to control. We even get to see later on she still hasn't fully controlled it on there for the most part, since she can't deactivate it by will, but from what we see, it can stop Heath's like ice magic, so it's like, oh, it's actually pretty strong, it's able to do that. But I'm not gonna lie, the best part of it was like when like fucking Magna came out with it on fire. Like, it's like this actually did some damage to him, and it's like, I don't give a shit. Like, he's having to use his own magical power just to get out of the barrier in the first place. But even still, there were bits I liked about it. Like when Asta went in, he got back up and like tried to swing down, and he's like honestly, his whole thing's like, oh, you made me waste 30 seconds of my time. Like, I feel like every anime watcher is there watching is like, bitch, how many episodes we in now? How much time you wasted us? I feel like it's more poetic because when he finally killed the guy that was obsessed with time, he killed the pacing. Like, the thing that killed the pacing as well was his piece of shit for the most part. Like, hope that could all change later on, but so far I feel like now the anime is on a little bit more of a right track record at the moment, where it's like it's now finally being what it is. And this is something that the My Hero Academia show focused really horrifically on the first season, but there were differences where it's like when it was the actual moments that worked really well in the first like couple of volumes of My Hero. I believe like they covered maybe the first 2 volumes like in the first season, and they put a lot more budget in the certain moments with like Bones when they worked on like the Bakugo stuff, and also as well with the Noma. That was the bits that would like solve the show. Comparing it to like this season, I still feel there are some bits I way prefer. I think some of the more down-low episodes are much better than like Academia's one. I feel like some of the character interaction in there, because none of the characters from a Class 1A got that. But definitely when it came to the animation and stuff like that, I felt like Bones just outdid it heavily, like compared to this. But there was still some really nice moments. Like I said, the fastball special that we got to see with Magna was absolutely gorgeous. We see some amazing stuff from there from Asta, and I know this is still not the technical end of the first core, but then again, it's technically the first actual arc of the series, like I say, unless you count like the actual like the starting of their exams and stuff. I like to kind of consider that the entirely like the first mission, all of like pretty much the first actual volume of the material for the most part. But when I'm looking back on some of the stuff on there, and when even as well they gave a little bit more to some of these characters, I think if anything they should have used this time to get some more to Heath, because at the end of the day, regardless manga and anime, he's still a fucking nothing villain. Like he's still like some bitch like little character. But we find out at the end of this episode that, oh my god, he's actually an underling for another guy, which we do get to see that he's wearing that Golden Dawn icon, so you already know he's a bitch already, where it's like, we've got some traitors already, and he's pretty high classed on there. And I'm looking forward to like more of this when we get into it, because especially I feel like Clover incredibly, like, not a humongous amount, but I think there is a huge improvement compared to later on, where the first, it was the stuff I was always worried about, which I still, as someone that would consider themselves a Clover fan, still thinks the worst part of the series is its start. I still think it's the weakest part of it, but it makes up with some great character like interactions and some like nice little moments here and there, some cool little action scenes on there. And overall, like, I think for all of the hate that the series has gotten, I can't really go here and say, ah, no, it's fine, don't worry about it, because I'm in this situation where it's like, would I recommend the first 10 episodes of the series, where it's like, do you have to get to this point and wait for it? I honestly hard to say, because it's like, if someone went into the show and actually honestly marathon this, I think it would be a lot more of a better, more enjoyable time for someone. I don't know if if the weekly thing that's going to affect a lot of people might have a huge downpour on this show. I generally think that at least if anything, that's give a couple episodes might do that. But then you still got the problems with, hey, there's the voice actor, or hey, there's the pacing, kind of like reminds you of old shonen shows back in the day. And now where they're going with the 2 chapters, because that was the whole point. It's like, yeah, this is 2 chapters, which I was so happy to just hear and all that. It still makes me think that they are going to try and go for the original goal that I was predicting. They are going to be doing 2 to 3 chapters, try and get to the witch arc, if anything. But that all depends on what they're going to be doing in the next couple of episodes. Honestly, it could still change either or. But overall, like, I really enjoyed it. I still think, like, if anything, this is the one episode I noticed the music the most in. Whereas, like, there was actually some nice pieces of music in this one. Whereas, like, there was some cool battle themes. That was the one thing I don't think I've ever really mentioned about the series and all that, and it's like the show's like kind of OST, where it's like you've heard like the more like that weird little, the start of every episode they have that little kind of like holy or orchestra going across, like it's like, oh, that's a nice little bit of music. But honestly, for the most part, I haven't really heard it apart from like that weird little comedy like going around on there. But there was some pretty nice little action music going on to this, and like it suited the scenes like for the most part. And overall, I thought it was a fine finale. I wasn't here like going, oh my god, amazing. I mean, the fact that I'm more excited about more pacing than I am the actual, oh yeah, the finale with this villain, fuck yeah. No, I'm never gonna be like that, because at the end of the day, he's a bitch and he still will always be a bitch. Like the fact that I forgot the guy's fucking name, like it was until the anime had to remind me, and I was like, oh my god, this motherfucker, that's how much of a forgettable fucking villain he is, because he is just a dick in the end of the day, and that's what he is. Although he goes and offs himself and his buddies in a pretty fucking hard way, where it's like, oh, they're gonna take us into the Clover Kingdom, they want interrogation. yeah, that ain't happening like that, which unfortunately Magna's a fucking idiot, and whilst they were unconscious, they didn't check them to have magic items. I guess it's more implied that they were implanted into their bodies, because it just made this ice just come out of everywhere and it just killed all the guys. Although one of them did get away, so Magna, you should have, you should have maybe did a little bit of the better job for the most. But it's setting up more. It's like there's more to going on. There's actually showing that there's some corruption inside with the whole Magic Knights, especially on the highest, like, of all, like, Golden Dawn, which is going to be a huge fucking problem later down the line if it's someone of, like, high power. So overall, there was some pretty good stuff in this episode. I enjoyed that. There was some nice little laughs and jokes here. Overall, I think it was a well balanced. I wouldn't say it's probably my favorite episode of the series so far, but I am very much looking forward to definitely the next arc. I'm very much looking forward to all of that stuff going on, and considering the fact that we don't see any of that in the opening at all, I think it's just showcasing the third stuff. I am kind of looking forward to once they like finally put some of that stuff out. And from the little bits of what we saw, the trailers, that was where a lot of the budget was going on there. So I'm especially excited to see where that goes down the line, like, for the most part. Overall, I felt like there was more to talk about in this episode as the future of the series than there was of the kind of actual episode. Because, like, there was so much I felt like that it was like, it was doing right. The pacing is there. It's getting right on track. There's still little bits of filler moments. Like, they changed some things around, like I mentioned. One of the things was, like, at the end when they had to bury the old man, when he was like, they showed scenes of like, oh hey, here's actually how he defended like the whole village against Heath. He was pulling out his sword and stuff. I thought that was cool. And instead of Asta being the one to talk to the kid, it was Magna. It was Magna going in there, and yeah, he had the last few lines for the most part, and it's like, oh hey, there you go, like, if someone like me can get to like a Magic Knight, then someone like you kid and all that can definitely go up there. And I felt like, what, it was probably best to have like Magna more sent off this episode, because it still feels more like his introduction arc for the most part in the manga. Like, he doesn't really get too much later on down the line. Like, he doesn't really get a full like kind of character arc, and I feel like this is the best way. If anything, this arc delivers more on him, whereas like they get some of the filler actually fleshed more Magna out as a character, which I'm really happy about, which was probably unused stuff from Tabata that he was probably going to do, but he was like, no, keep up the pacing, let's go this way. And it sends up another mystery as well with the bird, Nero. I don't know if they've actually ever said his name yet in the fucking show. I think they just called him that bird, but his actual fucking name's Nero. I don't think it matters, but like, he picking up that little gem at the end. We're like, oh, is this what the fuckers are after? Because this seems important, with big, huge question marks to it. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I definitely enjoyed that, and I felt like, if anything, I'm being really fucking honest with this, whereas like I felt like some good moments, there was some like stiff animation here and there, and overall I felt like I've been more honest with Clover. Apart from maybe the first episode where I was very blinded, like at the first where I was like, yeah, I'm not good, woo. But like, looking forward, I can't help but say I am really excited to see what they're going to be doing. Honestly, it could still potentially be up to the Witch arc, so I'm looking forward, if anything, that's going to be there. And I feel like the standout moments is going to be the next arc, and also as well the invasion one. I forget what, I think that's the one straight after the next one to come, so very much looking forward to that, and curious what they are going to do, because if not, they would definitely stop at the third arc if they really want to drag it out. That's the most furthest I can see it, and it's more suitable to finale, but we'll have to wait and see. Overall, just excited and looking forward to more stuff in the future, and not to mention, I'm looking forward to playing Asta in the PS4 game. I'm not gonna lie, he's there with his swords. I'm looking forward to that shit. So overall, yeah, solid episode. Not goddamn amazing, but it has some amazing animation. It had a pretty, I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed Asta just smacking that fucking fool hard as he can, and you're hearing the bones crunching like that. It was satisfying to me. It's just, and pacing. It's just a wonderful thing to just think about. Overall, that's all for me. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.